So here we go. I'm somebody who spent a lot of my life hiding in the background. I'm much more comfortable hiding in the background, observing, watching, but not so much. Yeah, I'm certainly not the person who stands on the table going blah, 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 blah. But that being said, I do have parts that actually want to do that. That's one of the interesting things about shadow work. I can remember in the past, I would feel kind of like if I saw somebody who was just sharing easily in that kind of way, it actually irked me. And what I eventually came to see as I got to know myself was that, oh, it's because I actually want to do that, but I'm not comfortable with it. So I'm trying to make some room for the parts that want to do that, but generally the dominant aspects within me are shy or are not so comfortable doing that. So basically, I want this channel to be a place where I get really comfortable just speaking my truth and sharing, some of the insights that I have from my own personal experiences, as well as the experiences that I have through the work that I do, which reminds me that I haven't even introduced myself. So my name's Christina Lavers, and I am a hypnotherapist and a BQH practitioner, as well as the author of the books Jump into the Blue and Retrieving Shadows: A Return to the Heart. The other reason that I want to share is that I have access to a lot of information that isn't necessarily widely available, and also isn't necessarily of interest to a lot of people, but I think for some people it really will be. So part of what I'll be drawing on is my own personal experience. So in the book Jump into the Blue, that book documents it's a true story that happened in my early 20s. It was my awakening. And this was in the 90s, so there was no internet. It was a time when there really wasn't a lot of information. And it was absolutely massive. It was it's really hard to put it in a nutshell, but it literally took me from a very growing up in a very rational, everything what you see is what you get kind of family, and suddenly, I guess over a period of years, opening up to realizing there was so much more in terms of like at first it was things like understanding that there were spirits and sort of understanding the elements that move through unseen through this world. But as it progressed, and in the later stages, which was, really 1996 is where it came to a peak, I was reaching other dimensions. And I will go into that in this channel, and I'll have hopefully some episodes that I really take the time to unpack that and unpack it in a way that's going to be a little bit different than what's in Jump into the Blue, because when I wrote Jump into the Blue, there was still I feel like the world wasn't quite ready for this information. And so I did hold back a little bit because in that time, I guess, so in that time, I ended up being forcibly hospitalized and shut down. And I really want to get into that because that whole area of spirituality and mental health is a very interesting arena. There's a lot of overlap. So I hope to get into that. So anyway, at the time there were places where I was holding back a bit, and I really hope in this channel to just go there when it feels right. That's what I really want to do. I just want to be really real. I'm basically, obviously I've been out of the spiritual closet for a long time. I've never been fully in it, but there's certain parts that have. There's certain ways that I guess certain masks or hats that I've donned just for the sake of being accepted. And I'm at a point now where I feel like it's really time. And I think I'm not alone in this. Like, I feel like there's actually a lot of us who've been kind of, holding back, not really feeling confident to come forward. And I feel like the time is now. The time is right for really stepping up and sharing because every perspective is valuable. Not just valuable, but absolutely needed. Like, I think if we're here for a reason and we have a gift to bring to the collective. And you can get caught up in that about, thinking like, oh, does that mean I'm special? Like we're all special. We all have something really valuable. So this is going to be a space where that's what I'm going to share. I'm going to share my little piece of the puzzle, and hopefully that will be of interest to others. And the parts of me, because I guess I should say that as well. Like one of the ways that I work is I speak in parts and in seeing aspects of self, because that's what I've discovered in my own inner work. I draw on practices like IFS, parts theory, ego states, and I feel that it's really valuable. So, I have parts that, like one of the parts that is really nervous about this channel is a part that's like, "Oh, pick me, like me." Part is really in life had lots of moments of not being picked, of not feeling seen. And so I want this to be just a safe space where I can let that part know that it's not important. And this is going to be a challenge, but it's not important who out there picks me. It's about me picking me. So that's what I really want to nurture in this space. And basically, I want to see, how I can grow using this space to do it. Now, I guess just before I finish up, I just want to talk a little bit about shadow work because that's something that's also really important to me and feels like it, absolutely links in with all this. So the second book that I wrote is called Retrieving Shadows: A Return to the Heart. And it's basically like a parts-based shadow work handbook. So it gives you the tools of how to create a sense of alignment. So I guess the way I see it is like we have all these parts within ourselves. I'm not going to get into now how they're formed, or I'll do that in a later time, but we all have, we can say, oh, part of me wants to do this, part of me wants to do that. Then the more we look within and learn and understand ourselves inside, the more that we can start seeing these parts of us more clearly. And so we often have parts that were really like what I mentioned before. So when I mentioned about having a bit of resentment to seeing people who are just really comfortable, just blah, blah, blah. And you can even just see in the way I'm saying that, like there's still a little bit of charge there because I'm not quite there. I'm not quite at that place where I can just really speak. Really comfortably and confidently. I'm getting there, but I'm not there yet. So what I would like this space to be is a space where I can just be really honest about, the parts of me that feel more fragile, that feel more vulnerable, and share that because I feel that that is really valuable and valuable to others because we live in this society that's all about creating a veneer, a mask of like, I've got it all together and I'm all good. And it's so not true. Like that was one of the things working as a practitioner and having people share from these deep places that they don't normally share with people. I can remember at the very beginning being really struck, like, wow, everybody seems to have this sense of unworthiness. And yet we all go around acting as if we do, or believing that everybody else does except us. And that was the other thing, is that people would often be really surprised when I would say that, it's really common to have these feelings and that they're not alone with these feelings. And there's often a big real sense of relief in the system. So I think that the more that we can just be real, not try to create this false facade of perfection, but really just drop in to who we really are and create spaces where we can be a little bit messy without being judged. And so that's what I hope that this space is in a way. I mean, I'm sure, and I'm not naive. Like, I mean, if anyone watches it at all, it might be people who totally don't tune in, and I might even get mean comments or something. But that's going to be part of this learning for me. Is just learning to get comfortable with that. Because, of course, not everybody's going to resonate with what I have to say. Does that matter? No, because everybody's on their own journey. We're all learning different things in different ways at different times. And and so things that, might not feel relevant at all at one point might later or to somebody else. So that's what this is going to be. Anyway, I'm going to finish now. Just had a shift in my lighting, so I'll take that as a sign to sign off. So thank you if anyone listened. And I'm going to make myself upload this. I'm going to make myself upload this particular video because honestly, I've done many. I've done many, and there's always reasons why it's not quite right or something. And I can see that I have a part as well that is that part like, oh, it has to be, I have to make it really good. It has to be really um perfect. And that's what I don't want this to be. So here we go. Here we are. Hope you join me. Thanks, and have a beautiful week.